Hey, I've got one more elevator video for you. This one, I'm going to try to keep it super brief. It is just to introduce my new elevator manip document because all this stuff is written down and explained, but I think a lot of it will be a lot easier to go through in video form. So basically, what I've done here is I have just already put every single possible waterfall glow pattern into Brutal Spreadsheet. I have chose what I think is the best option, and put out the necessary information across the top here, and then underneath, underneath every single different glow pattern that results in this example, 64. Once you get to the elevator, then this is the 64 manip. So these are all the glow patterns that get you 69. These are all the glow patterns that get you 71. And so the way that you would use this sheet, let's get a quick example here. So I'm going to pop up a glow example that I recorded earlier, and we'll count these glows here, and then I'll show what the spreadsheet looks like versus my document, so you can see exactly what it is. I mean, all it is it's all based on Brutal Spreadsheet, but I just don't like the idea of the redundant decision making where it's like, let's say you're on list 144. Well, every single time that you're on list 144, you would probably pick the same option, right? Because it's the correct option. Well, this way you won't, this way you've already made the decision. So here is the example that we got. Oh, you know what? I think that might actually be what's already in here. Let's put it in. So this is, once again, we start on 9 and go top down. 1 3 3, 1 1 1, 1 3 2. So that found list 207. And then you have this big selection to make as far as, what do you think is the best one to go for? And generally, like 7 would be good because group 7 is good. But here's the deal: you don't got to worry about any of this anymore if you trust my decision making. Because what I've done is, instead of the spreadsheet, you just have my doc open, give it a control F, type in the same, the top not going down, type in your 9 glow pattern, 133, 111, 132, enter escape, boom. There is your, here it is, it found it. List 207, and then this is the decision I made from the spreadsheet, and then this is the manip that it gives you down below. That's it. That's as simple as it is. And so once again, to give the comparison here, the pattern, or the one that I chose was 9 3 to 21. So like, you could pop this in here if you like the spreadsheet. Awesome, use it. I'm not telling you not to. But yeah, you would make the decision of this one maybe, and then you get all this information over here. This is a bunch of stuff that I've already considered, and I've written down what I think is the important stuff. For example, on this one, this negative 23 here means that you could leave the playground 23 frames earlier than what neutral movement is. And so I've listed minus PG right here because if you do one particular move, which is cutting right early at the end of the playground movement instead of just holding up and right all the way into the exit, that saves about 13 frames. So in any spot where you can be more than 13 frames early, I've put minus PG in order to tell you that you can do that. There is also minus PG in parentheses for when it's less than 13 frames, at which point that just says maybe cut right a little bit before you leave instead of all the way early. And one thing to keep in mind about this PG note that I'm highlighting here, is that it's always optional. If you do your movement perfectly, it's always optional. I just do it or I have it written down as both a time-saving measure and sometimes as a safety measure, because this one might be This one isn't, but like there are other ones where it might be like -23 plus 0, and what that's telling you is that you can be 23 frames early and you'll still be fine, but if you're even 1 frame late, you throw off your manip, right? And so it's actually kind of for safety as well to do the cuts if you can, because it gets you further away from those stingy things. These three, however, are very standard movement that you'll almost, as long as you do a little bit of practice, you won't be messed up on your movement. You're always frame perfect. They're usually pretty good windows. And so I didn't bother writing anything down about any of those. But now over here, you have an important piece of information. After the swing that you have to time your circle press on, you always run up until Cloud starts climbing. But then once Cloud is climbing, this is the instruction of the RU means run up at that point, or you might have to switch to run upright. That's very important. So that's written down right here. And then the +46 is a little bit of peace of mind for the final screen, because the final screen is the wonkiest as far as movement goes. All these other screens have a lot of brushes and a lot of easily done movement, but the last screen is very weird. So this +46 means you have 46 frames of leeway to leave. You don't gotta worry about a thing. Some of them are pretty tight though. There's even a couple that are +1s on here. +2 for these ones means that you can only be 2 frames late, right? So do still practice your movement, right, for that last screen. So anyway, this is the idea, is that, this is a lot of great information, but it's a little overwhelming during a run. I think that it's maybe better suited to pre-run research, And so that's what I did. I researched every single glow pattern, and so now you just Control F, you type in your sequence, which will jump you down to where it found it. And then you can, what I like to do is click to the left of it then, because this is in WordPad, to then just highlight the line. So boom, I know that this is the window that I leave in, and then this is the movement that I take. That's going to land me on 71, at which point I put this into my flow timer, and that's my window, with this aiming for the middle, and then whichever one that I hit on the elevator, we follow that manip. And so there you go. That's really basically it. That's how it works. Couple notes here to talk about, for things that maybe I didn't talk about earlier on. Once you get to the manip here, is these are backups. So like a 1 is can be tough to hit, especially if you went late on the 7 to save yourself menu buffers. That discounts this to a 0, and a 0 is tough to hit. So if you miss it, then this is the backup. And if you have to do the backup, you go down from there. So 3 would be the next one. So let's say you hit 4, you hit 7, then you overshot this one so you can't hit the 1. Then you would move over and treat it like it was 11 instead. So like let's say it was 4, and then you were late on the 7, so that discounted this to 0, and then you were 1 late, right? So just transfer that over here. You would discount this instead to a 10. I was 1 late, do a 9. You know what I mean? And then follow that up with a 3, except I just explained that you were late on this one, which is why it was 9, so then that would be 2, right? If that doesn't make any sense, then go watch the other elevator video again to get the manips back. I'm just explaining that these are the backups now. So if you miss this one, you can back up to this one, and then you go down from there. There is a slightly other notation as well. Like this one has a double backup. Like you can go 14, 1, 0, but then if you miss this 0, you can back it up with 14, and then you go 1 and then 0. But if you miss this 0, you can back that up with a 1 also, right? There's one other type of notation that I'd like to go over real quick, which is if the columns are arranged a little bit differently, like this one. So the idea is you go straight right from the one that you mess up. So for like this one's got 2 zeros in a row, so I wanted to back up both of them. If you miss this 0, you would go straight right and back it up with 11. which then that 11 would have to be followed up by the 4, right? You would continue the backup downward. But if you hit this 0 but then missed this 0, go straight right and back it up with the 3. Yeah? Does that make sense? So that's how the backups are written for these. What else is there to talk about? One very weird fringe case is that, so I mentioned all of these glow patterns are 9 digits. There are exactly 2 lists, however, that share a 9-digit sequence with each other. Those 2 lists are 72 and 247. And these two have the same 9-digit pattern, and so that's why I marked it with this over to the right. So what you have to do for these is look at your 10th, right? So if you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you got one of these, then you would just come down and look at your 10th one down here, which in this case is a 3. And what that should line up with is the last digit of the one that's above it. That sounds a little confusing, but if you look at the pattern here, as long as we're going up by 33 each time, you'll notice that like each one, like this number is this number is this number is this number, right? Every time that you increment 33 on the list, what's happening is this number is getting pushed off the right, and then another number is getting added onto the left. And so if you consider what the 10th number is on one of these, right? If this one had a 10th digit, it would be this one. And so yeah, if you now again, this is a less than 1% chance of happening because it's 2 out of 256 lists. But if it does, if you see this, right, just check your 10th glow against this one. If it's either going to be 1 or 3. You can even just memorize that if you want. 1 means it's 247, and 3 means it's 72. But I mean, also the reminder is right there. It's 1 for this one. And then this one is a little awkward. It's at the top of the list, so you don't have the one above it to compare it to. So that's why I wrote this 3 right here is for the reminder on that one. All right, so now this is starting to sound complicated, I think. So just remember, instead of having the spreadsheet open and having to deal with that, all you do is in a run, Control F, 133, 111, 132, enter, escape, boom. Here's how long I wait for the save crystal in the middle. The parenthetical here is how big of a frame window that is. This one's a 16 frame window. PG if there's going to be a playground cut. RU for after the swing. 46 frames of movement or of leeway on the final screen to play around with, and then here's your manip once you reach the elevator. One more thing, I did briefly want to mention that, like, the downside of using this sheet is that you are using what I think are the best manips and what I think are the best choices, And so if you like, some of these are brutal. Like this one, I hate list 72. I have a 9-hour or I have a very long wait. This is like a 15-second wait here for the manip. And so I encourage you, if you don't like some of these, to research it yourself and make edits. Make edits to this sheet if you want, right? Like you can download this document and make any changes that you want to it. Like look, this is an extreme example. This one is a very extreme example. Nothing else is quite this bad. Let's look at it though and just see why it is the way it is. So one thing also you can do is I have a copy of Brutal's sheet that is manual. And that's because on my sheet I have the actual list that each of these glow patterns correlates to, and so instead of having to punch these numbers into the spreadsheet, you can just punch 72 in right here, and there you get it. So yeah, like the reason that this one is a 15-second wait is really just because all this sucks. All the way down to the 117 here. There is an 11 frame window to get 117 just a little bit sooner, but I thought instead of waiting 14 to 15 seconds for an 11 frame window, why not at that point just wait the one extra half a second to get a bigger window that's a little bit safer if you're waiting anyway. But yeah, like the third, I looked at list 35 here. I didn't like the manip of it, but like if you come up with a good list 35 manip or something, then by all means take this nice big 21 frame window that's that many seconds earlier, and just make your, edit your own sheet and make an optimized version if you want. This is with all the considerations that I've made. This is the sheet that I currently have, and it's what I'm using in runs at least right now. I will keep up the version notes at the bottom here in order to document any changes that are made. All right, I really hope that this simplifies things. I really hope that you guys like this version of doing the manip. Yeah, if this helps someone, awesome. Thanks.